Hello, my name is Samuel Warwick. I have autism. The entertainment industry has been a huge part of my childhood. So by being inspired to see other entertainment podcasters interviewing other people from television shows, I decided to do one myself. To know about some funny behind the scenes, bloopers, and some stuff that we probably didn't know about while they were making the certain type of show. This is Entertainment Treasure Talk with Samuel Warwick. Let's go to the podcast now. And we're on, and well, there we go. Yep, we're on. So, hello there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Entertainment Treasure Talk with Samuel Warwick. I am your host, of course, as always, Samuel Warwick, and I am so glad that you are here. Whether you found me through this is your first episode, you found me through this episode, or you came from other episodes. Well, I'm so glad you're here, and I'm really excited for what we have coming up. But I'll get into more of that in just a little bit. But anyway, I have two co-hosts with me today. I have Martin Kreps.
Hi.
And Jordan Robinson.
Salutations.
How are you both doing today?
Pretty good.
Oh, wonderful! Thank you.
That's good, guys. That is great. That is great that you're doing good. So now you might ask who do we have for this episode? For this episode. So this episode now, I did not grow up with watching this person when I was like little or young, but I have watched a lot of British shows over the years, and I came across this show last year around April of 2024, and it's a really good show. And this person is made. If for those of you guys that are in the UK, if you guys don't remember, if you guys grew up in the late '90s, you probably might remember a certain show. It was called Demon Headmaster, and that was. I know some British people didn't like the show, and some did, but that whatever, whether you liked it or not, to me it's a good show. But not only that, this person also later moved over to New Zealand, and she's done theater work, and she's done a lot of more theater work, which we'll talk about more of too. I'm going to go on ahead and get this guest today. So we have none other than, of course, just so you know, she played the character Rose Carter on the Demon Headmaster for 2 seasons. So if you guys don't remember that character, well, yeah, I've only watched the show for about a year, but it's really good, and it's definitely a British show I recommend watching if you haven't watched it. It's definitely something you should watch. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get to this guest. We have, and I'm going to probably butcher her last name, Katherine Wyeth, but you can tell if it's Bridger. Tell me if I'm wrong or not. But Katherine Wyeth. Wyeth. Okay, Wyeth. There we go. So Wyeth. Katherine Wyeth, everybody. She's here with us.
Hi, everyone. So nice to be here. Thanks so much for having me on the show.
Hello.
Kath. So how you doing? How you doing today, Katherine?
Oh, I'm really good, thank you. It's a very wet and wild day. I live in Wellington in New Zealand. And so we're coming to the end of our summertime, kind of into autumn. And it's pretty wet and wild here today.
Yeah, it's rainy here too. It's raining here too, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's been raining here too. Here, I'm in East Coast America. I'm from South Carolina, America, so it's raining. It was raining a little bit like mad, but it's not storming though. So
yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, I'm from New York.
Oh, great! My parents both came from New York.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was actually born in the United States. I moved to London when I was a baby, and I was raised in.
Wow. So what? But you still have an accent though. So.
Yes, hopefully I still have a British accent, but I've been in New Zealand now for 15 years, and all of my British friends tease me when I speak to them and say that I sound like a Kiwi.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. But yeah, and I know it's kind of weird, even though I didn't grow up with Demon Headmaster and I found it about a year ago. I still really like it, and I loved what your character did, and I loved, I loved the cast of the show, and it's really good. But anyway,
Thanks, Samuel. Thank you so much. That show was made such a long time ago. It's over 30 years old now.
yeah, it's coming up
And
on
it
its
was
30th
made,
anniversary. So
yeah, and it was made for the BBC, and it was really low budget, but
yeah.
it's one of those shows that even though its production values are very simple, the story's actually so good
Yeah.
that it kind of stands the test of time. I think you're able to still watch and enjoy it, even with so much of TV production having done so much over the last 30 years.
Yeah, now it's fully available everywhere. So back then it was just only a UK exclusive only. So
Yeah.
but anyway, so why don't you introduce yourself a little bit, talk a little bit about yourself, and just talk a little bit about you can talk about your journey, just talk a little bit, and yeah.
Oh, thanks, Samuel. Sure thing. Well, my name is Katherine Wyeth. I was born in the States and moved to London when I was a baby, and I grew up in a really special place. It was called the King's Head Theatre in London. So my mum married the artistic director of the King's Head, whose name was Dan, and I grew up in this madcap, wonderful theatre environment, watching shows from a really early age, watching all the rehearsals, watching the new sets get built in the theatre. I'd be allowed to stay up till like 2
Sorry, my
o'clock.
cat's laughing loud.
Wow, cool.
Watch all the new sets being built, and it also had a pub in the front, so it was a really vibrant atmosphere. Loads of really creative people, loads of directors and actors and musicians and composers just coming through all the time, new companies coming through. So I caught the acting bug when I was pretty young, and I started acting as a child. And I did a lot of theatre at the King's Head, and I played like Mary in The Secret Garden, Joan and Joan of Arc. I was so lucky to be able to take on a lot of like great classical roles when I was a teenager. I played Juliet and Romeo and Juliet and Tess and D'Urbervilles and all sorts of really wonderful productions. And during that time I did some television, including The Demon Headmaster. And that was just a wonderful experience, really fantastic cast and crew. And it was such an honor to get to work with Terence Hardiman, who played the Demon Headmaster himself, and who was an absolute legend and a very, very kind man. He was so generous and kind. The cast had so many kids in it, and he could have just kept himself and avoided all of us noisy, annoying kids. He didn't. He was really kind. He spent a lot of time with us, and he was just such a sweetie. He died quite recently, actually.
I know. I saw that, and I was like, oh wow, man. I don't even know what he died from, to be honest. It doesn't really say.
No.
I don't.
Probably the family.
Keep
that.
I don't know what kind of religion. I don't know what kind of thing that they had. I would probably say maybe either cancer or maybe a stroke, but that's just me. That's just me. Because he did look pretty old when he was on that show.
He was definitely elderly, by the time he passed. But he was a real British acting legend, and he'd done some amazing parts over the years.
Yes, I saw that. But may I ask you, how did you get the role to play Rose as Demon Headmaster, if I may ask? How did that come about?
Well, they did a lot of castings. I did have an acting agent at that time. I was with a child's agency called Sylvia Young's, which had a school and a theatrical agency. So I think I got the audition through Sylvia. And I went for a number of big group auditions where there was, like 50 kids going into audition at the same time and working in little groups, and then presenting their audition in front of everyone. And then as we got further through the process, I would get called back in smaller groups. And eventually I got called back, and it would be like just me working with one other, like a script reader. So I had 3 or 4 auditions for the part. And I guess I was just lucky. I kind of hit on the right attitude for Rose pretty early on in the audition process, and the director really enjoyed what I was bringing to the role. So I was really lucky to get the part.
Yeah, I gotta say the character Rose is quite unique too. Like, my word, I gotta say, I think you pretty much nailed the role. Cause like he already used you guys. Like the demon already possessed you guys before Dinah even came in, who's played by Frances. Frances Amy, aka now she's Frances Volamy now because she recently got married, I think, years ago.
Right.
So
yeah.
So I mean, but yeah, that was and I think I saw another interview. It was with like the person that played Lloyd Gunner or whatever his name is.
Oh yeah, Gunnar Corthree. Yeah, he's still acting. He's still acting, and he's in Britain.
Yeah. I forgot, but it was the same person that played. Her name was Hattie Jones, and she ran another podcast. And I listened to some of his. I listened to the interview from that. So that's how I just some of it. I didn't listen to all of it, but what I do know is that some of it. I think the last season, the season you weren't on, was filmed in the summertime, but the others were filmed a little bit during school. So
yes, we definitely were taken out of school for production, and so we had to do tutoring. So when we weren't actually on set filming, in our downtime, we'd be kind of in a little breakout room doing schoolwork, and we had a chaperone who was there to so I don't know whether we kept up with the curriculum or not. I remember like doing some writing and some drawing, but it was just mainly to kind of keep us occupied, I think.
Yeah, I gotta say, I mean, that show was so long ago, and from the look of it, you were definitely the tallest person in the cast, though. But I don't think you were the oldest.
Probably tall for my age. I don't think I was older than the other kids. So I was 12 years old when I did that show.
I would probably say maybe that Gunner person, the person that played Lloyd, was probably older than you or whomever. I don't know. Yeah. I don't, But another one of my favorite good guys was definitely Frances Amy, who played Dinah. I gotta say, she nailed the role as Dinah too. Were you good friends with her? Was she great?
Yeah, absolutely. She was absolutely lovely to work with. Just a really kind person, and fun and intelligent. And we had a really good time together. Actually, all the kids were really, really nice. There wasn't. I remember everyone just being a very nice and supportive environment.
Yeah. I mean, the show was so good when I found it. I even had to follow some of the kids on it because it was so good. Like, my lord, like, here's the thing. One night I came into my room, like I was watching, like, now the TV is filled with internet, and the Roku had like BBC Kids on it. And then one night I came across this episode. I think the episode was like it was in the first season. It was one where like she was possessed. She needed a computer, and like, I saw that one on there, and I'm like, oh, what is this show? And I came across the show one night. And I was like, I looked at the TV, and I was like, okay, what is this show? Okay, this is really good. So.
Oh, thanks, Samuel. I'm so glad you discovered it.
Yeah. I mean, it's not. Yeah, I know. Like most other podcasts, they would just go and just stick to their. We know a few podcasts that would just stick with their only. But yeah, I've been watching non-British shows for like years. Like I've been watching like international British shows since 2017. I found that the first show I found was like, actually, it was a show that my friend watched. It was called Dick and Dom and the Bungalow, and that aired there. And then there was which actually led me to another show that was shot up there for many years called Tracy Beaker, the story of Tracy Beaker.
Oh yes, that rings a bell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's how I just started liking all the other British stuff. So I started. Now the other British stuff that I've watched for years, like for example, Teletubbies, Bob the Builder, Kipper, and of course my favorite of all time, Thomas and Friends, of course, Thomas the Tank Engine, of course. That's my favorite show of all time. That's my favorite show of all time.
It's a classic.
Yeah, that is a classic. I mean, y'all had Ringo, and I think you only grew up with a few seasons of Michael Angelis that narrated it there. So.
Oh, right. I know. I didn't actually watch it as a kid. I grew up in such an unusual environment that I didn't really, I didn't absorb popular culture like a lot of children my age. I was growing up in a world where I kind of felt like I was living 50 years before I really was. So I listened to music that was like from the 50s and 60s, and I thought it was contemporary. I grew up in the 90s, you know, and I the music that I was listening to was like Louis Armstrong and wartime music and stuff like that. And I thought that was the music that was going on at the time. So my peers at school were listening, like Take That was a really big band in the 90s, you know, that was fronted by Robbie Williams. And I didn't know who they were. So the kids would be like singing Take That song.
I actually really like Take That.
Yeah, they were a great band.
So
really good.
Yeah. That's funny. That's funny you mentioned that.
I grew up in quite an unusual, kind of environment where it all felt like I was living in the 1940s and 50s.
Wow. So pretty much everybody was like, I'm pretty sure the kids on set that you were upset that they were like, you've never heard of any of these things, you've never watched these shows, you've never
Kids in school thought I was pretty strange.
Yeah, and I'm sure that didn't the demon kids think you were strange too by not listening to that? I'm pretty sure they were all like, what? You don't know this too?
Well, I guess they were all living in a slightly unusual world as well, being in entertainment. So there might have been a little bit less incredulity from them as there was from my peers at school, who definitely thought I was a really strange child.
Don't worry, you're not strange to me. I still go, to be honest, I find a lot of these 90s/early 2000s British shows, and I'm like, man, I wish why didn't we get these? This is so well done.
I know.
Why didn't we, we grew up with just the Nickelodeon and all that garbage, and I'm like, oh my god, no. I'm just like, nah, your British stuff was better, hands down. More beautiful, more colorful. I liked it. So,
thank you so much, Samuel.
All right, so
I really miss London sometimes. I haven't lived there for 15 years now. I've been living in New Zealand. I met my husband in London, and he's from New Zealand. So I came back here with him, and we've made our lives here now. And since coming back here, I haven't acted so much, only a little bit. I still do perform a little bit, but I'm mainly on the other side of the camera now. So I've been working mainly as a writer and producer over the last 6-7 years.
Cool.
And in theatre and in film. So I've produced a couple of documentaries. I've directed my own short film. And I put on my own solo show about my childhood growing up at the King's Head.
Yeah. I've actually heard of that. I've seen a few interviews with you. The show was called Girl in the Loft.
Girl in the Loft, yes, that's right.
Yeah. That looks very interesting. I gotta take a listen to it. I got to.
Oh, thank you.
Wasn't that Lord of the Dance? Wasn't that Lord of the Dance song that you sang? Oh my gosh.
Oh,
wasn't that part of it? Wasn't that part of it too?
Actually, that wasn't on Girl in the Loft, but I sang that in homage to my beloved mother, who passed away really soon, only 6 months after I did my solo show. So I'm really glad that she got to see the show, because of course it was telling the story of my life, and that she played a really central part in. So I was really glad to be able to share that with her. But she actually wrote that song, Lord of the Dance, and it was about a visionary experience that she had. So she wrote the lyrics, and she had the melody composed, and she had wanted me to sing it and to record it with a choir. And so unfortunately that didn't happen while she was alive, but after she died, to make it as a tribute to her.
That's cool.
I had a wonderful sound engineer who's also my sound engineer for my solo show, who very kindly produced it for me, and I was able to have the amazing Mark Durrell, who's a really luminary musical director, accompanying me, and I was really glad to be able to just put that song out in tribute to my beautiful mum, who was such a mentor to me through my life as an artist.
Yeah, of course. That's gotta be. I mean, wow. That's all I could just say to that. Sometimes I don't really know what words to come out with, right words to say sometimes.
Oh,
but
sure, I understand that totally.
Yeah. So, but yeah. But anyway, Martin and Jordan, do you guys have anything you'd like to ask her or say or whatever? Yeah, go ahead, Martin. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
you.
So, Catherine, I got a question. It's about the Demon Headmaster. So, what was one of your favorite parts to play as Rose?
Oh, that's a great question. Thanks, Martin. Oh my gosh, it's hard to recall all of the moments in the show, to be honest, because it was a long time ago. But I really enjoyed the interactions that I had with Frances on set, who played Dinah, and the way that they'd be kind of, she and the other kids would be like trying to advocate for the injustice that the prefects had this rule of tyranny over them, and Dinah and the other members of the Splat team would be like pushing back, and Rose would just like with total kind of cool, calm, and collection just be like, no, you're just going to have to deal with this, and do this little smirk like so infuriating for the other characters. Really interesting dynamic there.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, I was watching a season 2 episode before we came on here, and I think she was trying to say, "Well, I'm so sorry, Mrs. Hunter," and she was like, and like Donna was like looking at her like, "Don't lie, don't like in the second season they don't even they don't believe her. The Splat team does not believe her at all."
Yes, absolutely.
And I'm like, oh my god, jeez, what?
I was actually a bit disappointed that at the end of the second season, the writers chose to kind of make Rose more sympathetic and kind of show her as being controlled by the Demon Headmaster and kind of being victimized by him. I really preferred the first season where she was just like the boss bitch.
Yeah. And then like, oh my goodness, and then after that you weren't seen in the third season, and I don't know why. Yeah, is that is that did they just write you off like that, or did you just say, or did you just decide to quit?
No, I didn't decide to quit. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what the decisions were behind that. Where they took the third season. I actually never watched the third season. So I don't know kind of what direction they took the show.
I will be honest. The last thing you just remember is just the demon after this went into the machine. Oh my god! And then the next season he forgot his name. He forgot his name. He never. Yeah, he forgot his name, and then throughout the season, so the season he applies as a professor in college, and like.
Right.
Yeah, you'll have to check that out. I don't know where
I should check it out. Yeah, I should watch it.
Streaming where you are. I don't know where it's streaming where you are. I think it might be streaming. It might be streaming on BritBox where you are, and I don't know where you get it. But ours, we have Pluto TV here, so that's
I do find that a lot of content is geo-blocked in New Zealand that's available in the US. It is harder to access content here.
So I don't know. The best bet I can say is Daily Motion. You'll probably be able to find some stuff at Daily Motion.
Yeah, cool.
So you might be able to do that. But I gotta say that season was pretty funny too. Just the way that I'm trying to think of some other lines. Like I think in the very first season, so I'm trying to think like she's like. I think let's see if I can let's see if I can act out this line. She's like, "Why aren't you in uniform? You must go see the Demon Headmaster." Like she's completely talking in robotic form, like she's saying, "You must go see the Demon Headmaster." And then this other, I forgot what this dude's name is, but like they take her back to there, and then that's where she meets the Demon Headmaster, and like. Then the Demon Headmaster possesses him and to try to get Dinah to lie.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my god. And like Lloyd and Harvey just hate her.
Yeah, absolutely. They played all that so well. I remember Terrence had this really kind of funny way of doing interviews, because he would always say that his character was much more interesting than he was as a person. So he'd tell a lot of little fibs in interviews just to kind of spice it up and make it more interesting. Someone asked them a question like, "Oh, what's your favorite thing to eat?" You'd go, "Oh, well, I really like to eat chocolate covered ants," and things like that. Just kind of make him sound a little bit more cool.
I would not eat no ants. Sorry, no, thank you.
No, I haven't tried them. I don't think he did either. He just would say that to make the interviews sound a bit more interesting.
I do like chocolate though. Chocolate's really good. I like chocolate. I will eat anything chocolate. I am, yeah. Oh yeah, Jordan, did you have a question?
Oh, I certainly. So, what would you say was the best part of your acting career?
Oh wow. Well, I did really love the work that I did at the King's Head. It was just such a special environment. And my mum and my stepdad ran it together, and they just really created such a family environment. And everyone who worked there just felt that kind of love and warmth of being in this amazing, like vibrant, creative family. So it was a really special and unique place to work. And I think having the opportunity to do some really big parts in that kind of space was really special, especially as a younger actor. But I did also love having the opportunity to work in some larger theaters. I did a couple of cabarets in some West End theaters. I was at the Novello Theatre and the Adelphi Theatre, which are huge West End theaters. And just the experience of being a kid, on a stage like that with the footlights and the huge auditorium, it was so thrilling. Probably the most thrilling experience of my life.
There's a difference between TV and and then what you did acting wise. So yeah, I think I'm sure you got if you had parents that worked like that, you got to have a little bit of freedom, and you got to so that
it's funny being a child actor. You do work really hard because you're at school all day, and then if I was in a show, I'd be performing at night. I'd be doing my homework, before the performance, and then working and performing until like 10 o'clock. Then it would take a while, to get home and wind down. I probably wouldn't be asleep until midnight, and then I'd be up, for an early school day the next day. So it was quite, and the seasons would be 6 to 8 weeks long. So it was quite a lot of endurance, to get through that as a younger kid, kind of working that much day and night. But I loved it. You just couldn't keep me away. I was well and truly addicted.
This is an interesting question. Did you star in any like commercials or anything up there in the UK? Like any?
Yeah, no, I don't remember doing much of that. I didn't do like ads, TV ads and stuff. No, I really just mainly did theater, and I did quite a lot of radio as well, radio plays.
Okay.
Yeah.
So technically voiceover, but not really.
Yes. Yeah. So a radio play, so it'd be like a fully cast play with all of the different actors, and it was really neat actually, because you go into the recording studio, and if the scene was like a dining table, there'd be people, clinking cutlery for you to try to create the ambiance of a dining table, and you'd be positioned. They'd have to do quite a lot of careful figuring out about where to place actors in relation to each other and in relation to the microphones, so that you got a sense of where people were in the room. It's quite an art to it, recording radio.
Yeah, just like we're kind of sort of doing now. It's like, but not like technically when a lot of people think of a podcast, they think, oh, it's a radio. And I did get this from somebody a long time ago, like back in 2023. We interviewed another voice actor here. He lives in Seattle. He did work for the Nintendo games, and he said that when podcasts first came out, they said people are not gonna watch or listen to a podcast because it's just they just think it's just too much of their time. They're like, there's nothing really interesting. You're just talking. You're not really. Well, I disagree about that.
Oh, I do too. Podcasts are huge now.
Yeah,
there are millions and millions of people listen to podcasts. And I think the great thing about a podcast is you can listen to it while you're driving, or while you're, walking your dog, or like you don't actually have to be sitting down and watching.
Yeah. But I usually just do it the audio way. I screen record it and then I put this in audio. So this is
right.
So this is, I mean, there are some podcasts that do them in like video format, but I don't,
Mhm.
you know. But that's fine too. I mean, but yeah, but a lot of podcasts I've seen, there's I think like that there is a good bit about pop culture, but there's not, I don't think it's as popular as listening to like something about or anything politics or religion wise and just stuff like
Mhm.
that. I just no, I think this is the good. Like people say that like are these the good news? Like politics or religion is the good news. Well, I'm sorry to say this, but not always. Not all. I don't think it is always. Sometimes you have to have something a little more interesting, like something like maybe something that's like once in a lifetime thing, like we're doing now. Like we're interviewing somebody from like a television show that was shot like years ago. About 30 years ago now. 30, 40 years ago now. So, well, actually 30,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
30 years ago.
30 years. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think,
Crazy.
and I'm not sure, but I think when did you guys start filming? I think it was 1995, I think, wasn't it? Or 94 or 95, I
I
think.
think it was 1992. Oh no, it might have been 94. 1994. Yeah, that's when
Okay,
it
so
was.
94, so so late 94 is when you shot the first
I think
season.
1994 was season 1, 1995 was season 2.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Alright.
it came out in 6.
Yeah, it came out in January of like 96, I think. Yeah, January of 96. So,
Right.
yeah. Oh, yeah. You know what? I got a question to ask. This is actually very interesting because we might can get a reunion about this. But are you in contact with any of them at all?
Not really. I have a tiny bit of contact with Gunnar just on Facebook. We're kind of friends on Facebook, and so I follow things that he posts sometimes, and if he's in a new show, I might see that. But no, none of the others. I haven't kept in touch.
Oh, wow. You haven't
No.
kept up with Francis or Christy. Oh, my gosh.
No. Oh, actually, Christy Bruce, I have been in touch with on Facebook as well.
Oh,
But
yeah.
Frances, I think, left the industry. I don't think she's still performing. Or I could be wrong about that. Maybe she went back to it.
Yeah, I think she did leave. I think she's doing something up there called Tiny. I don't know what it's called. It's like Tiny or something with like she's
Oh,
babysitting.
cool.
That's the last thing I just saw. That's the last thing I saw. But other than that,
Right.
I don't see her. I did try to email her though. I think I found an email. She was somewhere else, and I couldn't really, you know, I couldn't really get towards her. But that's okay too. That's okay too. But at least Christy, yeah, I follow Christy on Instagram though. So, but I tried getting her to say hello. Like I tried getting the comment, but I don't think she really. I don't know if she what she does. If
Right.
she, but yeah, that's really cool. I mean, it's cool that you keep up with some of like you only know two of them. And I forgot the person that played. I forgot some of these names. I
Yeah.
saw somebody who played Simon, and I'm trying to think the person that played. Oh my God, that little African American person. Well, not African American, but African British person. I think
Uh-huh.
I forgot her name. And
Yeah.
then whoever played Harvey. Oh my God, I can't think of his name. You know what? I
Oh,
think he's
his name was Tom. Tom something.
Tom. Yeah, Tom. Because you know what? I heard about this. I think he's voicing in video games now. I think he's done something for like Final Fantasy or something.
Oh, really? Oh, cool.
Yeah, I think he's voice acting now. But I haven't seen the whole thing. But that's.
Neat.
But yeah, but yeah, that's. Sorry if I'm stuttering, but just it's just like when we're talking, it's like you see, it's like we're talking to it's like we're talking to somebody from television, and sometimes you don't see, sometimes you see them, and sometimes you don't like you get like whatever you see, to get you get. And I have tried
Yeah.
to email you through your website at first, but I think it went to the
Oh,
spam.
right.
But
Oh, right.
yeah, I think it might have went through
Oh, it
spam.
shouldn't
I
have done
think.
that.
But then I found your Gmail, and I was like,
Yep.
yeah, I found your Gmail. And it said you were on like arts, and I was like, okay, so there's like a website for this, and so I went, and I'm like, okay, there's an email. Like I'll try that email, the Gmail, because the Gmail normally works better, works really good when
Yeah.
it's connected to another Gmail. So
That was good sleuthing.
so I wasn't stalking. I wasn't trying to stalk anyone. I was just trying to.
No, of course not. You're just trying to get guests for your show. Yeah, it's really great that you've
I've been
got the
struggling.
initiative to do that.
I have been struggling to get lots of guests on my show. So it's just something I'm trying to really do. Is something like trying to get guests. And you know what? We haven't had a lot of UK people or British people till like just maybe recently. We've interviewed a somebody that sang on the Sonic R soundtrack. And I think we
Okay,
interviewed somebody. Oh my goodness, I can't think of their name. We interviewed a writer from the UK, and then I think
nice.
I'm sure. And we just interviewed two Americans, probably two Americans that lived in the UK. They're just Americans that live there. So one.
I think what you're doing is so great, Samuel. You know, you're just like, you're passionate about storytelling, you're passionate about film and TV, and you're finding, you know, you're taking the initiative to find lots of people, and some people who are more obscure and more kind of, you know, from the past, and bring those stories out into the light. And I think that's just so cool.
Oh, thanks. You know, that's what some of this is what my last guest said. She was very nice. She really understood she understood what I was doing, and she's a huge fan of my show now. And I think she
That's
saw it because of
great.
some of my stories. And I don't know if you listened to the episode or not, but she really she went into all these details about about my autism. And then I went into losing my mom and about how friends in the past have cheated on me. There's been some friends in life that have cheated on me. Martin, don't act surprised. You've seen it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you've seen it, Martin.
No,
So,
of course.
but yeah, would you like to say anything to Catherine? Because I'm not trying to hog the spotlight here. I'm trying to let you guys have a chance too, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wait, I think another person decided to join in. Wait, oh he left. Never mind. Wait, he's here. It's David. His name's David. Hey David.
Hello, David.
Hey, this is Catherine, and we went on ahead and
Hi, David.
we answered a lot of the questions already. So yeah, would you like to say anything? Oh, then he just leaves. Okay, that's all right.
It's all right.
That's
Go ahead, Martin. Just try to say something, or if anybody else has anything to say, because I'm trying to let you guys speak too, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead and say what you'd like to say, or ask any questions for her.
Okay, so Catherine, what was your favorite childhood show?
Oh yeah, somebody asked that.
Sorry, what was that, Martin?
What was your favorite childhood show?
Sorry, I still didn't catch it.
Okay, I'll say it. He wants to know your favorite childhood show.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my favorite childhood show.
Mhm.
Okay, let's see. I was probably Sesame Street. I really loved Sesame
Oh
Street.
my god! Yeah.
And I've actually I've been really trying to get my kids into Sesame Street.
Yeah.
Because it's still going, and it's still just such a beautiful show. And it's just, you know, it promotes such wonderful values about diversity and inclusion, and being kind and respectful and tolerant. And I just find the you know, the Muppets, of course, are super charming. And I like the way that it's just the same kind of, it's the beats are like pretty slow and chill. Like so much content for children I find now is so hectic. It's like they make action movies for kids all the time. And I think it kind of affects kids a lot and gets them addicted to those dopamine hits in their brains, like because everything's got to be happening now and it's all really fast paced. And I really appreciate that Sesame Street still has that kind of more gentle rhythm.
Oh my goodness.
So I've been trying to introduce my kids into Sesame Street. So hopefully they'll get hooked on.
Wow, you chose something that was way more popular in America than the UK. But
yeah, true.
Because
that was probably my parents' American influences. And of course, I did grow up going to the States every year because I had a lot of extended family in the States and still do. I've got all my aunts and uncles and cousins. And all through my childhood, I would always go once a year to visit my grandparents. And they sometimes lived in Chicago and sometimes lived in Florida. So I had I had a lot of contact with the US, and I felt, you know, a lot of kinship
Wow.
with American culture.
Yeah, you chose something that was kind of way out of that Britain doesn't even talk about. It's just like it has aired here in Britain, but I don't think they talk to it as much as Americans do.
Yeah,
So,
sure. Yeah, it's an iconic show, isn't it, in the States? For
it's more
sure.
iconic here in the States than in any other country. But it has aired around the world. There's been, you know, people, it has helped people over the years. And no, I'm kind of this to Sesame Street a little bit because it's a little bit of a guilty pleasure, but I do like it. Like I like it to an extent. Just a lot of weird. Just my era of Sesame Street was kind of weird.
Absolutely respect and appreciate.
Yeah, my era of Sesame Street was just it was a guilty pleasure. Anything from like maybe 1998 from '04 was a guilty pleasure of mine.
I really like the Count. He was my favorite.
Oh yes, the Count. I don't know. I like Oscar the Grouch because Oscar the Grouch can probably suit me.
Oh yeah.
And honestly, I don't know why, but there's a lot of people that like Elmo, but a lot of people want to just kind of sort of give Elmo the fist.
Yeah, I can understand that.
I can kind of understand why.
Yeah.
But still though, they're all great, and you know. Oh yeah, I want to actually. This is actually a little bit of a I don't know. This is a little bit of an interesting Jim Henson show because this Jim Henson show was actually shot in London itself, and it was in the '90s. See, I don't know. Did you ever audition for Jim Henson's Mother Goose Stories? Did you ever audition for that? Because that was filmed there in the UK in like the '90s.
Okay, no, I never heard of that one. I'll have to look it up.
Yeah, I don't know. It had some other actors there in the UK, like I'm trying to think. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if you'd be familiar, but there was like another girl there that was probably acting around your time. Her name was Victoria Shallett. So she was
Oh,
yeah,
no, I don't think I know her.
Victoria Shallett, and I think there's somebody by the name of. I don't think no, Honey Shuffle Weeks didn't do that. No, I don't think she did. She's another person that acted in the UK there too. Honey Shuffle
Yes,
Weeks.
yeah, she became pretty famous, Honeysuckle Weeks.
Oh, so you know who she is too?
Yeah, I know who she is.
Did you ever meet her at all or no?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, Honey Shuffle Weeks. I'm trying to think who else. Oh my goodness, I'm trying to think who else. So that there was a show called The Wild House up there that was shot there in London as well. And I'm trying to think the girl. Ellie. Her name was like she went by
Ellie Bevan.
Yes,
Ellie
Ellie Bevan. Yes.
Yeah, Ellie was a friend of mine. I worked with her at the King's Head. We actually played sisters in a show called Parallel Vision that my mum wrote.
Ellie Bevan, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Dude, I wonder if you're still in contact with her, because if you are, I'd love for her to be on my show, because I love The Wild House.
I haven't spoken to her in so long. I'll look and see if I have any contact for her. And if I do, I'll let you know.
Because I love The Wild House. It's hilarious. we were watching an episode. We were watching an episode. Martin and I were watching an episode of The Wild House one time, and oh my god, the acting was hilarious.
Yeah, she was fantastic.
So you know those names too. Oh my god. Yeah, I don't know. Did you know any Americans that were there?
Sorry, what?
Kids kind of at the same time. I don't think so. No one springs to mind. No.
Yeah, the only person I can think of is now he narrated Thomas here in the States for us, but he narrated Thomas here in the States. He was another Michael. He went by the name of Michael Brandon, and he was pretty popular there in the UK. He's an American there, and I think he's pretty popular in the UK though. So
right.
Yeah, he's an American that lives in London. So yeah, he narrated Thomas here for the States. He was also on Dempsey and Makepeace, so that's
cool.
Yeah, he's pretty popular. And and she's not American, but another person I could think of that was popular was Michelle Owens. She was popular there in the UK, but never here. So
okay. Yeah, that's interesting.
But yeah, Martin.
Yeah, some people kind of do really well when the country that they're not actually from.
Funny.
Yeah.
In a little bit we are going to have fan questions, but before we do, I'm going to ask, how was it like to do Peter Pan? Because it said you did Peter Pan, and we know the Disney version of Peter Pan, but
Yeah.
That was such a special show. We my mom adapted the original book by Dan Barry, so she did a brand new adaptation of the play, and we were lucky enough to get the rights to the world premiere of the original score by Leonard Bernstein. So we premiered a never before heard score, beautiful score by Leonard Bernstein. And we did it at the King's Head. We had some just incredible people working on the show in the creative team. We had Mike Dixon as our musical director, who's one of the best musical directors in the world. We had Mark Urquhart as our choreographer, and my wonderful mum directed.
wow.
So it was a real labor of love. We had a huge company. We did it at the King's Head, which was a very small theater, and we had like a company of 25 people. So we had the Mermaids and the Pirates and the Lost Boys, and just so many. And we had real children as Tinkerbell, whereas normally in the West End shows there would just be a little light that would dart around, but we had a real child playing the fairy. And that went down really well. We had to do these wonderful innovations because we didn't have enough room to have wires for flying. So we couldn't be in harnesses on wires, to fly around.
Yeah.
So instead, the set designer created these hydraulic platforms. So whenever it was time to fly, we'd run to our position, which is where the platform was. Smoke would fill the stage, and then the platform would just lift up, and we'd assume flight position. And it was so charming and innovative, and it worked really well. We had the costume designer from Harry Potter, from the whole Harry Potter series. He did our costumes.
Whoa, that's cool.
Company. And we had Peter Land, who's a fantastic performer, who's actually from New Zealand but has made his home in London, and he was married to Gillian Lynn, who's a very famous choreographer who choreographed Cats, the huge Broadway musical Cats.
Nice.
So just an incredible production, and we put it on because Peter Pan was my stepdad Dan Crawford's favorite story. And when he was 5 years old, he grew up in New Jersey, and he went to Manhattan to see a Broadway production of Peter Pan when he was a little boy, age 5. And that is the moment that he fell in love with theater. And as he grew up, he became more and more of an Anglophile and became really in love with England and wanted to come and start a theater in London. And so it's really that story, which is the reason why Dan came over to London and founded the King's Head Theatre way back in 1970, over 50 years ago now. And so that is the kind of start of our family's story and our life in the theatre. So we put on that show as a tribute to my stepdad after he passed away of cancer when he was only 62.
Oh my goodness.
So it was a really emotional story, and just such an honor to be part of and to be able to put it on, kind of to honor him and his legacy. It was just a beautiful show. Yeah, it was one of
that was great. I gotta, that is some great stories. That's interesting to know about all these, and just your story about acting and everything. And it's great to always know about these shows and about the rareness. And I'm kind of unusual. I like a lot of podcasts, American podcasts. Yeah, I'm actually going into the British side of things. So way to go. I've interviewed Americans and British people now. So, but yeah. So sadly, so we do have at least one question. Only one person that asked the questions today. They're like two. Her name's Tori Benson, and it's always nice to hear from her. She's a big supporter of this. I think she's probably the biggest supporter of my podcast, to be honest with you, secretly.
Oh, that's great.
So,
yay, Tori.
And I appreciate, and Tori, we just appreciate your questions, and we appreciate that you're the one that wants to participate in these questions whenever I ask. It's great.
Certainly,
And so,
Tori.
yeah, and so her first question is, what inspired you to be an actress? And I think we can probably sum it up again if you want.
Sure thing. Hey, thanks, Tori. Thanks for the question. I was just lucky enough to grow up in this incredible and unique environment. Just growing up in the theater and watching all the performances and watching all of the shows take shape behind the scenes, seeing the companies come together, seeing the sets get built, seeing the rehearsals. I just thought the process was so exciting, and I thought the people who were involved were so wonderful and talented and creative and interesting, and I just wanted to be part of it. So I think it's just having that incredible, unique opportunity to be to witness and to see, you know, the creative process up close as a very young child. That's what inspired me to start acting.
Wow, that's great. And also, we kind of already, we kind of came across this earlier, but she wanted to know what were your favorite shows growing up? And well, you said one of them was Sesame Street, of course. Do you have any others that was really good that you watched? Maybe anything in the
Well,
UK?
you know, like I said, I didn't really have my finger on the pulse of popular culture when I was a kid. So I was watching things. The things that I most loved were actually Katherine Hepburn movies and Cary Grant movies from like the 1940s. So I loved, there's a movie called Bringing Up Baby, which is Katherine Hepburn and Cary Grant. It's pretty early in their movie stardom. They're both pretty young. They're in their late 20s. And it's this very silly, farcical comedy about a couple falling in love. And there's a leopard cub causing havoc because they're going around from place to place. So I loved that movie. I loved The Philadelphia Story, which was Katherine Hepburn, Cary Grant, and James Stewart in this kind of love triangle. These are black and white movies, you know, they're really old movies. These are the things which I watched again and again and again through my childhood and just loved so much.
Yeah.
I was actually really in love with Cary Grant. I planned to marry him. And then I found out when I was like 13 that I think I was kind of thinking that he was about 30 because I thought that's how old he looked in the movies that I liked. So I thought, okay, well, I'm 12, he's 30, you know, that's a bit of an age gap. Probably have to wait, you know, maybe 10, 15 years, and then fine. So I was just like saying to my mum, we were out at a cafe, and I was saying to them, like, so how old is Cary Grant? And Dan said to me, oh no, he's dead. And I was like, what? What do you mean he's dead? When did he die? How did this happen? He died like a few years ago when he was 85. And I was that's the thing that horrified me so much. So the love of my life was dead and he had died in geriatric. Like my world completely exploded.
Oh my God.
We were in this cafe in Soho called the Stock Pot. And I remember putting my little yellow napkin and putting it over my face and just sobbing. And my parents were just so astonished.
Oh no! You were like,
from my first young love dashed.
You were like, huh? No! 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 No!
Yeah, exactly.
But then I was like, oh, those are pre-recorded stuff, Sam. They broadcast it. It's pre-recorded, Sam. So I figured it out. I honestly thought that Mr. Rogers was still alive for a time. I thought Mr. Rogers was still alive.
Mr. Rogers, what a sweetheart.
Yeah. I thought Mr. Rogers was still alive, but then I'm like, no, yeah, well, he died when I was like 2 years old. And I thought that some of these people were like still alive and like they still stayed the same, and that means that I'm like, no, Samuel, they don't, if they're dead, no, Samuel, they're not that age or they're not alive or whatever. And I'm like, oh, I see now. I see now. So even though,
so you relate to the experience.
Yeah. So I was a little bit experienced, but Tori, thank you for those questions, Tori. That was fun, and you brought out another story today. You brought out another story. You let her say another story. So I hope that answered your question very well, Tori. Hopefully you didn't ruin Catherine's life. No, you didn't ruin her life. Don't worry. I'm just still saying that. But yeah, so going to our wrapping up a little bit here, since I don't really have too many more questions, I don't think. But just wrapping up a little bit here. So I'm trying to think. Are you currently working on anything now? I think you said, would you like to talk a little bit about that, like what you're doing now?
Yes, well, I've been lucky enough to be producing for a company here in Wellington, New Zealand called The Conch, which is a Pacific company. So they tell Pacifica stories. And I've been producing for them in theatre and in film. We recently made a documentary called A Boy Called Piano, which is all of The Conch's work is really about social justice. And A Boy Called Piano is a story about a man named Fatmawanu Ofutu, who was a survivor of state care here in New Zealand in the 50s. So he was taken away from his family and placed in the boys' homes and suffered really terrible things there. So it's about him and what he went through alongside thousands of other children, and about how he found his voice as a creative artist, as a writer and a musician, and kind of how that creative journey took his family into healing from those intergenerational traumatic experiences. So I've been so honored to be a part of the amazing work from The Conch and the really important, meaningful work. So I'm currently doing another documentary producing for them.
Mm-mm.
That is really cool. And so I'm trying to think. So I'm trying to think of the other questions. So okay. Since we are maybe just wrap it up in just like a little bit with like I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do something a little bit funny, and I don't know if you can or not. But if Rose were to say one thing to Dinah right now, or any of the Splat people right now as adults, what would you think they would say, or what would Rose do, or what could you give us a little bit of like her character a bit? If it's too hard, you don't have to, but if you can give her a little bit of the character a bit.
Well, I think she'd probably be quite snobby and disdainful and just be like, oh, really? You're doing that now? I thought.
Yeah, but to know that the demon headmaster is really dead now. I don't know what Rose would think now. Now that the demon headmaster is really dead. So
she'd probably be heartbroken.
Yeah, because
she looked up to the demon headmaster.
Ha, Rose, your idol's dead. So now you got so who are you gonna look for now, Rose?
Yeah, that would be pretty tough.
Yeah, I guess you'll be. Yeah, I guess you won't be brainwashed anymore. Yeah, I guess you won't be brainwashed anymore to say stuff in robotic form anymore. It's a real shame, Rose, that you won't be able to see Demon Headmaster. I wonder who you're gonna get next. I don't understand why you looked up to that man. That man probably took you out of his own loft and probably possessed you. You're gonna have to
Samuel,
have
I think you should write the sequel to the Demon Headmaster and put it on. It sounds great.
Oh my God! Am I doing a good impression here of
You're
like a British
great.
impression?
Get the original cast back together for a sequel. That would be so fun.
Yeah. I would love to. I wanted to travel to London and meet some of the people that have done these British shows. I'd love to.
Yeah.
Very poor right now. Very poor right now, though. But I am working up there, so.
Absolutely.
Really
you've got a bright future, Samuel. You're going to, have a smash hit podcast and be able to travel wherever you want.
Thank you. So going into like the last two questions or whatever. So if anybody wants to, act or, do anything act or get into, writing or producing or doing whatever they please, or, what they want to do. What do you think they should do?
Oh, that's a great question. I think that the most important thing is to gain skills and acquire skills, because there's a lot of skills involved in all of those different creative departments, with writing and producing and performing. So you've got to train, you've got to find classes, you've got to find community. And it's really great if you can find other people similar age to you that you can work with and just create your own content, because nothing is a better teacher than actually getting up and doing it. So write a short play and put it on in somebody's garage or in your school hall. Find someone with a camera and, collaborate just like you're doing, with your peers. Just
Thank
find people, find friends, collaborate with them, make things together. Just go ahead and give it a try, and then also seek guidance and mentorship from more experienced professionals.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You're absolutely right about that. I mean, hey, it was just me the first few episodes. It was just me alone. Then I just asked for co-hosts to come along, and some have been good, but people like Martin and Jordan have actually been really great, and they've been very accurately supportive. No one else
Yeah.
really had until no one else has really have. And I have people, and like I said, I've had people that said that they have liked they said they want to watch my show, they've liked my show, and yeah, some have not been
Yeah,
committed
it's
enough.
wonderful.
And
Oh, thank
yeah,
you so much for having me on the
and now
show,
going,
Samuel. I
and now
really
going into
appreciate the
yeah, and
opportunity
then
to
going
speak to
into
you.
our last question. Going into our
Mhm.
last question before before we stop recording, and then after everything stops recording, I'll dismiss you after everything stops. And
Okay.
yeah, and then yeah. So this is called Entertainment Treasure Talk with Samuel Warwick. That's me, of course. And we usually ask all of our guests, what is something that is entertainment treasure to you? So like it can be anything from like music, TV, movies, or anything like that. I mean, you've kind of sort of explained it already, but would you like to sum it up a bit? Maybe what is something that's entertainment treasure to you?
Okay, yeah, sure thing. Thank you. Well, I do really just love stories. I think that stories are the thing that it's the most ancient human tradition, to share stories. Stories can show us who we are. They can teach us things about our own identity. They can create empathy and understanding for other people, and other people's situations. They can be this kind of bridge that helps people cross that divide, the space between, and get inside the heart and mind of another human being. And there's really nothing else like that. So yeah, I love stories in all forms. I love TV and film and theater and music. Of course, music is also a form of storytelling often. So yeah, I'm really grateful to be able to be sharing some of my stories, and grateful to have been able to spend my career in storytelling. And I just think we all need to keep telling our stories.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, this is probably I know you've only been on a few podcasts or radio shows, but this is probably maybe either just only one of your few ones. I know I'm not your first one, but this is probably probably maybe your third or your fourth one that I've seen or have heard of. But
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I'm very glad that we were able to get you on here to talk about your story about, Demon Headmaster, and just what a marvelous cast it was. And it's a really, really good show. If you guys want to see Demon Headmaster, you can check it out on Pluto TV here in the States. And I think it's also available on Daily Motion if you want to check this out. Anybody that lives in the United States or North America at all. But yeah, once again, Catherine, I thank you for being here today and for this episode. And next episode we're gonna be we were initially supposed to have another British singer, Sam Blewett, who sang on the CGI Thomas soundtrack, but he apparently couldn't make it. But he's going to be here next episode, hopefully. So now we're going to be having him on Thursday, I believe. And yeah, we thank you guys for for just being here, and that is a goodbye from us as well. Thank you guys for watching this episode of the Entertainment Treasure Talk. We have other great interviews coming next. So yeah, just be on the lookout for some more episodes from your favorite shows or some of your rare shows. And yeah, we will see everybody on the next episode of the Entertainment Treasure Talk podcast. And don't forget, there's always treasure around where there's always entertainment treasure around. No matter where you are, it's always around. You know. Well, everybody, thank you for watching, listening to this episode, and we will see everybody in the next video, in the next episode. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a good night, folks.
Thank you for watching this episode of the Entertainment Treasure Talk. We hope that you had fun and that you enjoyed the show. If you enjoyed this episode of the podcast, maybe you'd like to watch or hear more episodes of the show. The link to the playlist is in the description. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe for more upcoming episodes. And don't forget that you're awesome and that you too are filled with entertainment treasure. See you next time for another great episode of the podcast. Peace out.